Hello and welcome to Speak Up, the sustainability podcast hosted by Apparel. We take a step behind the scenes of organisations, large and small, to discover their journey towards sustainability, highlighting their challenges, triumphs and plans for the future. In today's episode, we have the founder of a grassroots organisation we've been working with recently who are making a massive impact. However, if you aren't working directly with them, you may have never heard of them and the fantastic work they do. And this organisation is the Homeless Project. So please welcome Stuart Allen. How are you doing today, Stuart?
Very good, thank you.
That's so good. How was your trip down to Braeside? I know that you're along the peninsula, so it's not too far from here, is it?
That's right. In fact, I live very close to my work and it's all down in the peninsula. I
know how that is. I strategically got a warehouse so close to my home. So
Okay.
I know how important that balance is. So I've heard a little bit about what you guys do, and we have been working with you, but I'm super keen to dive deeper into exactly what you're doing with the Homeless Project and Bayside homeless housing, and I'd love to hear some stories about your experiences and how you managed to make such an incredible impact in so many different ways. So if you could start off and tell me a bit more about the Homeless Project.
Yeah, thank you. It's been running for just several years, but we think we've already made quite an impact.
Yeah.
Our operation houses about 65 people in 65 bedrooms in the Frankston area. And we just aim to help people who've been homeless or at risk. Many of our clients have been living in their cars or in squats, or just, they've been kicked out of their house for a variety of reasons, or they've just, the courts have kicked them out, or they've got out of jail or out of a psych ward. They haven't got anywhere to go, so we provide them with accommodation.
And so how did you start the Homeless Project? How did you get into this?
Okay, yeah. So I used to be in the art game. Mm-hmm. I had an art gallery and everything was running really well.
Wow.
And making some money and dealing with wonderful people. And I did that for quite a few years. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, maybe life's too easy. So I sold it all. And then I bought a yacht and sailed around the world. But while I was sailing, I was thinking maybe there's some more that I can do to help either the environment or people. And I started formulating an idea of housing. And when I got back to Australia, I started sort of buying houses with savings. And instead of putting high-functioning people in them, I put sort of the lower-functioning homeless people in those houses, and it's grown from there.
That's what an incredible, I guess, journey.
Yes,
that you've been on, and quite a few different life experiences there. That's like really incredible. So, are you able to? I'm really curious about this. What are some of the common challenges that you face, I guess, daily? With the housing? Okay,
well, our tenants are highly dysfunctional.
Yes.
And we've all watched Big Brother.
Yes.
And in Big Brother, you've got supposedly high-functioning people, but imagine having similar houses with low-functioning people living in them. So you've got all those sort of issues, and trying to control that, manage those people, and sort of steer them in a better direction and make them make better decisions about, their behaviours.
Yeah.
So we think it works. One of the key techniques that we have is trying to put only one person of each category into the houses.
Is that something you worked out on your own?
Yeah, we worked it out.
Yeah. Okay.
So it started off, you put two alcoholics, reforming alcoholics, and they just start drinking together and becomes really messy.
Oh my goodness.
So now we actually try and put like one ex-heroin addict, one ex-gambler, only sort of one youngish person. Mm-hmm. Otherwise you end up with a party house and one of every kind, and it actually works. It's a good formula.
It's like this like a harmony of just all these different types of personalities, I guess. Mm. And so what would you say, I guess trying to work that out daily, what would you say your main role is there though? Like,
I'm like just a kind of an overseer in a way where I try and encourage the house to run the house. We'll elect democratically a leader for the house, and that leader sort of deals with the day-to-day operation. And anything that they can't resolve, they give me a call, and then I come in and sort of offer some advice. Sometimes we need to evict people, call the police.
Yeah.
But that tends to work.
And so do these people that have been displaced, do they find you? Is it down Frankston Way? Is it sort of does everyone sort of know about you? Does everyone know Stuart and his accommodation, or is there like a directory that they refer to? How does that work?
Yeah, well, generally, if you become homeless, you tend to go to a crisis centre.
Okay.
And there's a number of those around Victoria.
Yeah.
In fact, every major city, every town generally has one. In Melbourne, there'd be several. There'd probably be a dozen or so. So you'd find your way to a crisis centre. If you're living in a squat or in a car on a beach, the police or a community group might find you and direct you to that crisis centre. And then the crisis centre, then they work with that person and sort of send them to people like me.
Okay, wow. So the change cycle, I would love to hear more about what the change cycle is.
Okay, so that was a program we ran where a lot of our guys are idle, and there's an old saying, the surest way to kill a person is to pay them to do nothing, which is effectively what we do with unemployment benefits. There's no work for the dole scheme.
Yep.
So people just sit around, they're idle, and they get bored and they drink and they do drugs and they're just bored and depressed. So we thought, how can we empower them to learn skills and maybe feel better about themselves? And so we decided to run the change cycle, which is where we get the community to gift us bicycles. And those bicycles are in various states of disrepair. Then we've linked in with local bike repair stores.
Yeah.
And so they will teach our guys free of charge how to fix bikes. And so once the bikes are repaired, we then do a road trip to Coopapiti. And we've
wow.
And there's an Aboriginal group over there that we've been supplying bikes with. So we take over like 60 or 80 bikes at a time. And we've done that 3 or 4 years in a row.
That's incredible, and I think more people should know about this. It's just amazing. So are you able to tell me where? Actually, it's all coming to me like where the name came from, but are you able to explain how you came up with the name, The Change Cycle?
Well, the change cycle,
it's kind of spelt out, isn't it? But
we want change, and the word cycle works with bicycles, and there's the cycle, the terrible cycle that a lot of people experience in homelessness.
Yeah,
we were trying to break them out of that sort of dead end cycle to a better cycle, spiraling up instead of spiraling down.
I guess besides all like the obvious ways that this project is, having a positive impact on the people involved, are you able to sort of like, I guess, spell that out, go a bit deeper into that and how that's actually positively impacting all involved in the project?
Yeah. Well, I think, look, by giving people accommodation and they can get clean, they've got a shower, they've got access to food. We've created a range of different projects. We make them feel better about themselves. We try to employ them where we can. We get them back into the workforce. And then we find that someone who hasn't had a car for many years or a girlfriend for many years, suddenly they've got a car, and then they've got a girlfriend, and then they're saying, Stuart, we're going to actually get our own apartment.
Wow.
And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. That's really incredible. So obviously at some point in this podcast, we will touch on sustainability because, this is what we're all about here. So how would you say the Homeless Project and Bayside Homeless Housing is making an effort to be more sustainable?
Okay, so in pretty much every way we're sustainable. Firstly, we choose the properties where we house our people very close in to CBDs of regional areas, so that they can walk to the train station, walk to the shops. There's not a reliance on the motor vehicle. The houses that we have usually got 15 kilowatts of solar on the roof, so the power supply for the house is very low. We've got water tanks, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Plus, we furnish all of our properties. So we give everyone a TV, a bed, linen, crockery, cutlery, all of that sort of stuff. And we get that largely from Facebook and Gumtree freebies. So rather than having to go, to get China to make us stuff, which affects our balance of payments deficit, and affects, effectively what humans do is all we do as humans is we dig stuff out of the ground, we turn it into stuff, we use it for a while, and then we put it back into the ground.
Yeah.
And if we can keep it out of the ground for a while longer, that's good for everyone. So I guess a lot of the things that we use, they don't last that long.
No.
Because there's often a lot of aggression and a lot of misuse of our property. So, if we can get a secondhand bed, a secondhand mattress that's clean and, that was going to go to landfill, and if we can use it for another year before it goes to landfill, then it's better than buying a brand new one.
Yeah. There's so many, we already work together, but just hearing what you're saying now, I know there's so many other ways that we can, work with you guys and provide you with items to use in your in your homes.
That's right. I mean, you've been great for us. The fact that you're effectively passing on clothes that we're going to go to landfill, and that we can then gift to our clients who largely have never had enough money to be able to go and buy brand new clothes. This makes a huge impact for these people. And look, probably one of the best things is one of our biggest threats is the police, believe it or not. The police take away our clients because our clients do a lot of shoplifting.
Yes.
And it happens so frequently where, you'll find that so-and-so has been taken away to go to jail. But we've noticed a big difference ever since you've supplied us with clothes. People now in our houses, there's basically a sense of abundance. We're already giving them free food. Now they've got free clothing. They don't really need to steal anymore. So this has a big effect, I think. Like these guys that shoplift, they affect the whole community. If you think about when we go to buy clothes from a fashion store, those clothes have often been marked up a bit because there's a lot of clothes getting stolen. If we can slow down the amount of clothes that get stolen, effectively it brings cheaper clothes to the average consumer, and it's a better outcome for our clients as well.
Yeah, you told me that story maybe a month or two ago now about how it's not just putting clothes on their backs. We're helping their self-esteem. Where clothes are just changing their lives in so many more ways than just dressing them, essentially. And I didn't even think about shoplifting or anything like that. And just knowing that they're not shoplifting anymore because they've got these clothes that they feel really good and confident in. It's I don't know, it really makes you really proud of what we're doing and our partnership together, which is it's unreal. Would you find that the homeless project itself, do you feel that, does that create a lot of textile waste? I know you were saying that things don't last that long, but in, the scheme of things, do you guys produce a lot of textile waste?
We do actually, and I know that you are in the business as well of recycling textile waste.
Yes.
However, our textile waste is pretty putrid by the time it gets to, and we've thought about, do we bundle it up and bring it to your doorstep?
Yeah.
It will require extensive cleaning.
Yeah.
It's probably too highly contaminated. Yeah,
and see, for us, like, we don't accept underwear for OHS reasons. So there's items where we just can't accept for that. We just don't have those. I guess the process is in place yet to be able to accept items that, are soiled or it's just, we have human beings that are sorting through items in the warehouse. So it's just not, I guess we're not at that stage.
That's right.
Yet.
Yeah. There's, there could quite easily be sharps in there as well, feces and blood and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't even think of like sharps and that would be a pretty, I don't want to say a common thing, but a likely item that you may find amongst the textiles, right? Yeah.
It is, yes, yeah.
So I guess the question is not how did you discover apparel, because it was actually me that found you guys. And I was doing a Google search trying to find grassroots organizations because, we work with a lot of charities and not-for-profits. A lot of the times these items go into op shops, which is really great. And then whatever gets sold, those funds then go back into communities, which is really great. But I was sort of more wanting to find organizations that work directly with people in need. And I guess Stuart's organization came up, and I didn't even think I sent you an email. I think I called you straight away.
You did, yeah.
And I believe it was probably a 1 week later that we were providing you guys with textiles or with clothing for the people in your rooms. So I'm so happy that we found you.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. That's
great. It's been awesome. And so I'd love to, I know you've got the Bayside Homeless Housing and the Homeless Project. It's not just rooms. You're doing so much. And, you've got the change cycle as well, but you've also got two other things that I know of. I'm sure there's other projects that you're doing, but one of them is the book you've just commissioned, and also the Bee Project. Can we chat about the book?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the book is called Building Better Schools, evidence-based something. And it was actually commissioned with the view that homelessness often starts at a school level. You think about, your experiences at school with bullying and prejudice and a whole range of other issues, and how those schools deal with that sort of behaviour, and when you feel that you've been treated badly. So every year in Australia, every school is expected to update their school policies, and that's often left to the school administrators and teachers.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily equipped or have the time to do that. So what we've done is we've got a group of psychologists and I guess industry professionals who do this as a job, researchers, and they have put together the book. And we haven't bankrolled the whole book, but we've done the lion's share of the contribution. So the other thing we've did is we've made that book free of charge.
Yeah.
So rather than make a profit out of it, we've actually paid. I think it was Routledge, the producers of the printers of the book, paid them to be able to do free online downloads, so that people can just grab any part of that book that they want and just adopt it as their school policy for that year. And so the idea is that those policies will be updated on a sort of, I guess, a 3-year basis. Yeah. And it's already had amazing success. There've been, I'm not quite sure how many downloads, but there've been, I think, like many, many thousands of downloads.
And how are people able to, I guess, find this and download it and
just Google it. Building better schools.
Building better schools.
Evidence-based.
Okay.
Something. I've forgotten the last word that we used.
How have schools been able to find out about it?
Well, there's various marketing techniques that we've got the message out.
Yeah. I guess it's school community sort of, I guess if you're in that space, then you'll
that's right.
find out about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other project that we're currently working on is, the concept of introducing beehives into an urban environment. It's not a new idea, but, doing it in a place where there's groups of homeless people or people who are recently homeless. So in the backyard, we aim to put a few beehives and then skill up interested people in how to become aparists. And it's quite a specialised technique required, and we'll provide them with the suits and the protective wear.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they can produce honey. And of course, as you probably know, like we hear about it all the time, how bees are being threatened by pesticides and invasive species, and they're actually there's threats, there's pest threats from overseas that could really destroy our bees in this country.
It's quite terrifying.
Yeah, in which case there'll be no food on our tables. I mean, it really does affect humanity and life on this planet.
They do say that without bees, we'll have 4 years left on this earth.
Wow,
I
think there are other insects that do pollinate flowers. However, the bees do the lion's share.
They're like the. It's funny. I walk my kids to school every morning, and at the track that we walk down, there's recently someone's got quite a large beehive in their backyard, and they've got a big sign, and they sell the honey. And I want to see more of that. I'd love to implement something like that in my backyard, but I just don't think it's big enough, and I don't trust my 4-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
not yet.
Yeah. Look, if you get Italian bees,
okay,
they're the most placid bees.
How do you start that though? How do you implement that in your own backyard?
Buy a hive.
You just buy a hive.
Buy a hive with obviously with a queen, and obviously it's got to be populated. You can get a swarm.
Okay.
Someone who knows how to collect from swarms.
Wow.
See, what happens is the bees reach a certain population in their hive, and then they decide they need to sort of divide, and half the swarm, they just swarm off. They make another queen, and they head off and they try and find another home. So it's not difficult to go and grab that swarm that might be just hanging out on the side of a tree.
Just go get the swarm, Molly.
Seriously. Put it in a box, put it in the back of your car. Obviously.
I love how easy this sounds.
Well, make sure you've got a pickup, not inside the cabin. And you can just repopulate a hive that way.
So I slightly off topic, government funding. Is there any? Do you get any assistance? Is there any grants, any funding at all from government?
Possibly, but we don't grab any of that.
No, you're not interested. No. You haven't delved into that.
Not really. It goes against our core value.
Okay.
But we'll probably end up doing it.
Yeah.
See, I guess what we'd really like to do is purpose build more houses for people who are homeless at risk. Mm-hmm. And we think we can do it really well. In fact, we built one a few years ago that's done surprisingly well. It's a 9-bedroom house. It's on a small footprint of land. It's very solidly built. It's got 10 kitchens.
Oh, wow.
And 9 bathrooms. And the people that live in that house, had all been through that whole revolving door process of homelessness for many years.
Yeah.
But we've barely had a change of tenancy from the first group of people we put in that house. Mm-hmm. So we basically made it, furnished it, and the first group that we put in there are still living there, and that's 3 years later. So we figured it's almost been a cure. They're all happy as well, which is great.
Yes.
And we'd like to do more of that. But each house obviously costs, the land alone costs, several $100,000 plus.
Especially in this day and age.
And the bill is probably about $600. So you're looking at a lot of money, and it's very hard fundraising for that kind of money. So maybe there'll be a government grant at some stage. But predominantly, what we like to do is just get secondhand staff and sort of hobble together things and sort of be more sustainable, and that's been working for us really well.
I just built my home, and I could go and buy brand new things, but my first place, I always go to Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree, and whatever I'm looking for, I look for it there first. I bought many things secondhand. I think it's a really great starting point. I think it's the values that I want to instill into my children. It's this, we live in this world of take, make, dispose, and this circularity that you're doing, and I think you're doing it so you don't have these huge overheads of buying this stuff brand new, but more to that, you've got that circular model of, and you're getting these secondhand items and using them again. This is how it should be.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, the house that we recently built required over 10,000 bricks.
Wow.
at least half of them, probably about 6,000 of them.
Secondhand?
Free. Yeah.
Free.
Brand new free bricks.
Oh, brand new.
Brand new, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they don't match, but they were going to get rented anyway.
Yeah.
But how handy is that? I mean, you think about it, it's $1 a brick, sometimes $1.50 a brick. And we just go and pick them up for free.
But isn't it incredible what you can achieve just by just doing a bit of research, you know?
That's right, yeah.
Caring. It's when you care. You could just sort of, you know, not care and then, you know, end up spending, I guess, 3 times as much, right?
That's right. Exactly.
It's just caring.
Yeah.
I'd love to sort of touch on briefly toughest, sort of most challenging experiences managing the houses.
Yeah, look, some of the most difficult experiences are probably more to do with legal issues when you've got to get someone out of the house, and you're actually confined to using the police and VCAT.
Because I'm sure that's not your first step. I'm sure you would have tried many other things, and then that's your last. I guess that's
the last resort.
Your last resort.
Naturally, reason
often
turns people around in a positive way. But there are a lot of people out there who are just taking advantage of the system and figure that they can exploit the the lackluster laws that we have.
Yeah.
So I've got one person that I've been going through VCAT at the moment. It's taken 8 months. She's still there.
Wow.
Yeah, she's still there, and it's just so frustrating. She's causing problems. We need her out. We've won finally won the hearing. And the police, they were meant to execute what's called a warrant of possession order. They had 14 days, but they just didn't do it in time. So now I've got to go back to court. So yeah, so she will go, but that in the private sector it gets things done very efficiently, but sometimes government drops the ball, and they're pretty hard to deal with sometimes. Yeah. Yeah,
I'd find that really challenging. I wouldn't even know how to manage that.
That's right. And the other thing is local government and council.
I was going to ask you about local government and council.
Our enterprise will be so huge if we didn't have to worry about local council.
Is it red tape?
Massive amount of red tape.
Yeah.
Effectively it's a classic case of not in my backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, they all say that they're interested in solving homelessness.
Yeah, because I feel like they believe that they have to say that.
They have to say that.
Yeah.
And that what they do is they simply create a huge number of barriers to entry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is simply just the red tape and just procrastination in getting in permit approval and things like that.
Yeah.
So, it'll take 3 years. It's taken us 3 years on 2 occasions to do a couple of builds. That's just to get that's just to get the permit approval.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, and that's where you're not doing anything weird. It's just a standard build. You're not asking for anything special. But just the local council has a belief they don't want too many poor people in their area, too many marginalised, because they feel that will decrease property values, and in doing so, it might lower the amount of rates that they can get, and their bottom line is lowered. So they're doing it for.
See, I just find that really sad, because if it's this common thing where they're not being given this opportunity. So someone has to just put their foot down and be like, we'll do it. It's just really sad how council and government can make things like this that are doing so good, make it so difficult for people like you.
That's right, of course, yeah. So it's a pretty dire situation. There's over 100,000 people who are homeless in Australia.
Yeah.
I think that at the moment there's about 23,000 in Victoria who are homeless. And if we can give them homes, the outcome is so much improved. The average life expectancy for someone who's living on the streets is around about 45 to 46 years of age.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's,
I didn't know that.
we can turn that around if we can give them houses and places, safe places to live.
Yeah. And I'm sure this is still a topic on everyone's mind, and probably will be for the next few years still, COVID. How did you manage the homeless project and Bayside homeless housing during lockdowns?
It wasn't too hard.
Okay.
In fact, very few of our...
Because me thinking about it, it sounds like this really difficult process.
Yeah, naturally, our clients are very vulnerable to COVID. Most of them have health sort of issues.
Yeah.
They're chain smokers. Many of them are overweight. They use drugs. They party hard. They have a lot of health issues. So if they got COVID, it'd probably, it could devastate them. But we found that very few of them, in fact, none of our 65 got COVID.
Wow.
But of course,
that's great.
The government was
word.
Yeah, the government was keen on putting people into hotel accommodation,
Mm-hmm.
and they thought that would be quite a good solution.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we did have quite a few vacancies during that period.
Yeah.
In fact, some of our tenants even decided to move out into hotel accommodation where it was heavily subsidised by the Australian taxpayer rather than stay in.
And has that since ceased? Has that
largely? Yeah, they've moved them out of hotel accommodation, and we're now at 100% capacity again.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're there when they need you most, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I guess would you say COVID left any long-lasting changes to the homeless project, or it's pretty much gone back to the same?
Yeah, maybe. It's pretty much the same. During COVID, we had to increase our hygiene levels.
Yes, of course.
Sanitising the houses and wiping them down and have a regime and bringing in a lot more cleaning product.
Yeah.
But largely, I noticed. Yeah, it's pretty much gone back to normal.
Yeah. I mean, that's really great because so many places and organisations, it changed everything. And, so many places had to shut down, and it's really sad what COVID's done to a lot of organisations. But it's really good to hear that, largely you were quite unaffected by it. And I hope, we're at the end of it, and 2022 can be a bit more, brighter.
I think so. I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, I think it will have to be.
Yeah.
Largely because we, as a nation, we probably can't afford financially to have more lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if the next variant is more severe, I think we're just going to have to toughen it out.
So this is slightly off topic. One of my friends was telling me the other week that so just because Omicron is not, I guess it's, if you're going to get COVID, it's the one you want to get. But the next variant, it's like a dice essentially. It's not just because this one's not that contagious doesn't mean the next one's going to be. It can be. I don't want to give off any
bad vibes,
bad information. But yeah, the next one could be hugely.
There's a new AIDS. There's a new AIDS variant that's come out.
See, I said there was something about that. Yeah, great, cool, awesome.
That's more severe than the current AIDS.
Oh my God!
Because traditionally people think that they get sort of less potent over time.
Yeah, it's endemic. This is yes, good news day. Good news day. So the future of the homeless project and the housing. How do you plan to grow your impact?
Yeah, well, we're very grassroots,
Yes.
and we're so busy doing our.
You are so busy.
Our kind of little micro projects.
Yeah.
That we probably don't have even the time to really focus on growing.
Yeah.
The not-for-profit.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to take a step back and really look at. Strategically the direction that you're going.
Yeah.
Look, it's been fun and we're pretty happy with, we just take on projects that we're passionate about.
Yes.
And if we get an interest and we see, that could be really good to involve and that could have a good outcome for our clients, then we'll tackle that direction for a while. So who knows?
Yeah. How can our listeners and everyone on our socials, how can we support the Homeless Project in any way? How can we support you guys?
Okay, well, drop us an email.
Yes.
And make contact, reach out, and let's listen to what sort of skill sets you have and how you'd like to help. And maybe there's a lot of people out there would like to have, we've got a lot of clients that probably need just someone to talk to someone to buy them a coffee.
Yeah.
We always need linen and crockery and cutlery. And if you've got an old TV that's doesn't have to be super smart, but that doesn't have a set-top box because that can be sometimes too complex for our guys.
Yeah. It's too complex for me. So.
Yeah, those sort of ideas. You've got a spare block of land you want to give us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you can give that to me as well.
Yeah.
All right. That's I think we'll put everything down. We'll make that as visible as possible to everyone, and I hope we get lots of people reaching out to lend a hand where they can. It's been so great having you, Stuart. Ollie and I have spoken quite a bit about having you on, and finally we have, and I'm so grateful to hear your story about the Homeless Project and Bayside Homeless Housing. I think you're doing an incredible job, and I really don't understand how you stay so chill. You seem so cool, calm and collected. I just want a bit of that. So I just, keep doing what you're doing because it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Please subscribe to our YouTube to get the full Speak Up experience. Follow us on Spotify to be notified when a new episode goes live. Leave us a very friendly review on Apple Podcasts. And let us know who we should have on our next episode. If you're not already on Instagram or following us, check us out. It's Apparel Official. Yeah, cool. I'm glad I knew that. And we'll link everything about Bayside Homeless Housing and the Homeless Project below. So thanks for tuning in. See ya.